we've had a heck of a ride with this group. And it doesn't feel like that tonight. It won't feel like that for a couple days, maybe longer. But the bottom line is that this program has come from so far, and I hope at some point in time the seniors, the guys on this team, will remember that they did things that hadn't been done, first off, in 20 years at Indiana. But more importantly, there's not any programs, whether it be Syracuse, whether it be Kentucky, Carolina, Duke, you name it, that are the blue blood programs of the country that have ever had to endure what these guys have endured. And they've done it with perseverance. They've done it with toughness. They've done it with improvement. They've done it with great class, and they'll all be better for it. And that's how I view it. There's no way that our minds are around closure right now. They're not. So we just have to kind of look at it that way. The story of the game for us is we didn't take care of the ball well enough. We gave them too many opportunities. We did not do nearly good enough job on a couple of their guys, especially Carter Williams. And we just could never get over the hump. We got it cut down, but we could never get that gap, that margin, where we needed it to be. And they played well, and they deserve it. And we didn't play as well, though we played extremely hard. And they move on, and we call it a great year. Could you guys get some water for these kids? You guys smoke with them? Thanks.
All right, we'll take questions for the student athletes first. Please state your name and affiliation. We'll start right there in the middle, guys.
Michael Cohen, WIUX Radio. Christian, it must be so hard to do right now, but is there any way you could put into perspective your career at Indiana right now?
Well, as you guys know, it's been full of, ups and downs, but, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I just love my teammates, and I'm happy to be an Indiana Hoosier at the end of the day.
Other questions for the student athletes? We'll go right down here in the front, Samantha.
Victor, Bob Kravitz with the Indianapolis Star to your left. What made their 2-3 zone so difficult? What kinds of challenges did they present in their zone?
They were just long and active, and we just didn't take care of the ball like we should have. In the first half, we were getting a little bit too anxious, catching the ball, moving without the ball, not having the ball secure in our hands, and our shots weren't falling at the same time. So that's pretty much it.
Other questions for the student athletes? Right down here in the front again.
Yeah, Cody and Victor, I hesitate to ask you right after the game, but I got to ask you, have you guys played your final games for Indiana?
I don't know. I put everything into this. I haven't thought about it one bit. I was just worried about playing this year. So fun playing with these guys. We had a great year. I haven't thought about it at all.
I'm the same way. I've been focused on Indiana Hoosier basketball. And I've been loved playing with these guys, and I've enjoyed the ride. I'm never gonna forget this team, the players on this team, this coaching staff, anything. And that's all I've really been thinking about.
Other questions? All right, guys, you guys are dismissed. Thank you. The Indiana locker room is open. The Indiana locker room is the one at the end of the hall, the far end of the hall. All right, Coach. Questions for Coach Crean. And we'll start right there in the middle again. Thanks, sir.
Mike Cohen, WIUX Radio. Coach, the guard play from Jordan and Yogi today not up to what it usually is. Do you have any explanation for that? Was it more the size and strength of the Syracuse guards, or what do you think happened there?
Well, I'm sure the strength and the size of the Syracuse guards had something to do with it. It's really a matter of where you enter the ball from, and we got a little tentative shooting the ball, which we didn't need to do. We had some turnovers early on, and our whole thing was to get our guards off the point so that we could play more off the wing and enter the ball more from the wing, and that was a little bit easier said than done. And we prepared for it. There's no doubt about it. But It wasn't meant to be with that. When we got it inside, we got some good looks. We didn't always come out with a reward, whether it be a basket or a foul shot. But you've got to make enough shots against the zone to spread it out a little bit, and they didn't have to do that as much. So they did an excellent job. And but again, it's not the missed opportunities of scoring that hurt us as much as it did the points off turnovers that turn into live ball turnovers for them. And we did a much better job in the second half with that, but the first half is where it got away from us a little bit there.
Right down here in the front.
Ken Bykoff, Inside Indiana. Coach, it's still raw, but could you put into words what this team means to you personally and what it means to Indiana basketball?
Well, it's still raw. You know, I think, like I said, these guys have done a fantastic job. I mean, there'll be a time really to celebrate them, but they've done things that have not been done in Indiana in a long, long time, and they did it from scratch. And I think that's every once in a while it's easy to forget that, and I know I forget it some, but I think when we'll look back at it, we'll know that these guys really came in sight unseen. You know, Jordan certainly know what the program was about, but Christian really didn't. Victor didn't. Will didn't. You know, those guys that are older guys now, and they came in and they made it a big time place again. And when we look at that, we'll feel good about that. And there's a lot of things to celebrate for them, but it's just one of those things. It's probably a little bit hard to put that into context or perspective tonight.
Tom, Bob Kravitz, Indianapolis Star. We're looking ahead already, but what role will you play with Cody and Victor when it comes to whatever next step they might take?
Well, I'm sure I'll do what I would always do, is try to be a voice of reason, do the right research, try to give them as honest of assessment as I possibly can. It won't come from .coms and scouts. It'll come from general managers, scouting directors, people like that really have an investment in what those picks mean and where they would potentially go, and just like we've done last year, and try to give them the best kind of advice that they could possibly have, be supportive of them and their families through the entire process, and just treat them with love and care like we always have.
Well, 2 rows back. Yep.
Mike Pesca, National Public Radio. If you look at the statistics, Coach, I think your team missed 22-point shots, and of those 22-point misses, 10 were blocks, although one box score I read said 11 were blocks. Obviously they're a great blocking team, but does that high number, can you analyze and explain that?
Not till I watch the film. You know, we didn't want to. They make it. They swarm to the ball when the ball's around the bucket area, when it's in the short corner area, and until I watch the film, I'm not going to be critical or self-analyze it. You know, until I see that. There were a couple times we could have kicked it out. There were a couple times I thought we'd be at the foul line, and it didn't happen. So they have great length. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And you've got to go up and power through it. And at times we did, at times we didn't. At times even when we did power through it, we didn't get the bucket. It didn't go in for us at times. And obviously, it just wasn't meant to be.
Any other questions? I think we have time for one more. We'll take it right down in the front.
Coach, with Yogi, what do you tell him that he could take away from this game and his first experience in the NCAA tournament, especially at the Sweet 16 level?
There'll be quite a bit. Yogi's going to be a great player, and that's the first time Yogi has seen that kind of zone, that kind of length. You know, one thing we've tried to do in the Big Ten is, as much as possible, follow the Big East blueprint that we tried to use at Marquette, and we've added, more with low post scoring, obviously, and things like that. But you've got to have quickness, you've got to have versatility, but at the same time, let's face facts, we haven't seen a zone like that. And as much as you try to simulate it in practice, if you've got 500 Parias that you can put in the zone, then you've got a little bit more of an opportunity to see what it's like. They're very good. I mean, they're not where they're at for a reason. And he's not in the Hall of Fame for anything other than he's one of the best coaches that's ever coached a game. And it's a different deal. You know, it's a different deal with that. But we got tentative because we kept trying to put the ball in from places that it just wasn't going to come from there. It had to come more from the wing. So he'll learn from it. He'll be a great learner from it.
All right, Coach. Thank you very
All right,
much.
thank you.